Hello, this is Patrick at 1CNC West, and what we're going to do in this video is take a look at using a 5-axis trunnion when previewing toolpath within 1CNC. So let's begin by loading up a 5-axis trunnion example here. There we go. Now I should start off by saying that when performing any type of multi-axis machining or applying multi-axis toolpath within 1CNC, it's absolutely not necessary to have the graphics of your trunnion or rotary table or indexer. However, it can become extremely beneficial when previewing verifying toolpath. Alright, so let's take a look at how the trunnion needs to be set up for it to display properly when previewing toolpath. Let's begin by looking at the actual table here. Now if you look over in the layer browser, you can see there's 3 layers. There's layer 3, 4, and 5. Let's start with layer 5. I'm going to turn these other layers off. So on layer 5, we have the 5th axis. So just think of 5 for 5th axis, 4 for 4th axis, and 3 for 3 axis. So on the 5th axis layer, we have our table. And notice how the table, or plate here, is centered around X0, Y0, Z0. Now this doesn't mean that your CNC program has to have its datum here. It just means that when setting the trunnion up for proper preview, it needs to be in this location. Alright, so the plate's going to be centered around X0, Y0, Z0. Let's take a look at the 4th axis now. So if we bring up the 4th axis carriage here, you can see the same thing applies. Notice how the carriage is positioned so that it's actually centered around the x-axis. So as I zoom in here, and as we look, you can see here's the x-axis, and that passes right through the point of rotation of the carriage there. So if we turn both layers 4 and 5 on, you can see there's the proper setup. Alright, now if we take a look at layer 3, I call this the 3-axis layer, but when it comes to rotary or multi-axis work, layer 3 is really where you want the geometry that's not going to move when previewing toolpath. So you can see in this example, on layer 3, I have every part of the trunnion that's going to be stationary, the actual base or foundation of the trunnion. Alright, that's it. Now it's really very simple. Just 3 layers, layer 3, layer 4, and layer 5. On layer 5, you have your 5th axis geometry. That's typically going to be the platter or plate. That's going to be centered around X0, Y0, Z0. Layer 4, that's all the geometry for your 4th axis. That's typically going to be the carriage, and that also needs to be centered, in this example, centered around the x-axis. And then on layer 3, that's all the geometry that's going to be stationary. Think of that as the base or the non-moving geometry. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.